Now, what is not to love about RuneScape cities? Each city defined by its unique characteristics and inhabitants, like Lumbridge with its green grass and livestock, or Xanaris with its mystical mushrooms and vibrant colors, and Darkmeyer with its Since its release in 2020, the city of Darkmeyer has been one of my absolute favorite areas in the game. I have been wanting to make this video for quite some time. But first, quickly, I'm super excited to mention, if you want to support me and my mediocre content, Many Worlds Tavern, an online coffee and tea company, actually gave me a discount code to use on their site, which is crazy. If you like super high quality coffee, tea, or just awesome stuff in general, please click the link in the description and use code JZIPS at checkout for 10% off. Darkmeyer is like if Twilight was actually cool. There's vampires, werewolves, and blood. A lot of blood, actually, like a whole lot of blood. It is the capital city of the Mortania region of Gillinor, the region found to the far east, and it is socially unique from any other area in the game. Darkmeyer operates under something closely resembling a caste system or social hierarchy, dividing and sectioning off the city into 3 tiers. An upper tier, a middle tier, and a lower tier. It's only right we begin with examining Darkmeyer's lowest tier. Welcome, my friends, to Vampire Hell. Here is the outline of Darkmeyer on the map. Now, Hell makes up this portion here, taking up the majority of the southeast side of the city. Okay, now counting has never been my forte, but it does look like we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 20 buildings in this lower tier. And while there are some surprising places of business here, which we will definitely get into, it appears the vast majority of buildings are allocated to residences for the inhabitants of Hell. Let's look at a few of those now, and I actually want to start with the doors. Now, I gotta say, the first time I saw these doors, I thought putting a wrench in the middle was a very interesting aesthetic decision, but then I quickly remembered that I'm an idiot. I tried to consider what else this could be. I landed on these are probably teeth, more specifically fangs. You have the tooth part up top, not sure what that part is called, and then the pointy fang part at the bottom. Stepping inside, most of these residences in this tier are nearly identical. We have a bed, let's go ahead and put that in quotes, with some sort of faded salmon color sheets-ish. Then we've either got a cupboard, a sink, weird sink, by the way, how the hell do you even work this thing? And then maybe an odd piece of furniture here or there, like a chair or a trunk. 4 of the houses here have stoves, which 1, I'm curious how they decide who gets a stove in their house, and 2, do vampires need stoves? Like, don't they just drink blood? Are they cooking things? Are vampires cooks? Maybe we come back to these questions. And you know, this actually does bring me to an important point. Let's quickly discuss the tiers of vampires. In Hell, you will find 3 types of vampires. First, vampire juveniles. These are the lowest of the low, the scum of the vampire earth. They are the RuneScape redditors of vampires, okay? Then we have vampire juvenites. They are a tier above juveniles, but not at the bottom, but pretty close. Unless you were a banker, you're not going to find either of these in the higher tiers of Darkmeyer. They are both restricted to Hell. Now, finally, the third type of vampire you might find in Hell is a Firewatch. Now, they clearly don't live here. I think their sole purpose in Hell is to keep these other lowly vampire scum in check. Now, can you graduate from one type of vampire to another? In other words, can a juvenile become a juvenate, or a juvenate become a Firewatch, or so forth? I'm not sure. Maybe there's a bit of lore nested in all that quest dialogue I skipped, but we do know this. Vampire juveniles and juvenates can actually become human. This involves a strange process of using a flail's special attack on them and then splashing them with a dose of Guthix Balance. Guthix Balance is a potion that's made from a restore garlic, and silver dust. I had never before done this in the game, so I decided to try it and was gifted a mithril warhammer, which lucky enough for me was actually voted Weapon of the Year by Time Magazine. Here's a list of all the rewards you can expect to get from this. I have to imagine this activity is not done by too many players, so I'm wondering how accurate this list is, but who knows? So to wrap things up here in Hell, there's an entrance to the Dayall Essence Mines, one general store, a lantern store, some anvils, a furnace, a potter's wheel, and a potter's oven. Now the general store is run by one Drazden Raynor. He has either small wings or maybe arms growing out of his back, and isn't the smartest cookie in the blood jar, okay? He tries to sell you rope, but doesn't give a shit if you just take the one that's on the table. He'll even try to buy that one from you. He also sells long rope, which costs an arm and a severed leg. His place, though, seems normal. We have lots of ketchup, olive oil, shit ton of candles, which maybe he got from the lantern store. Now, speaking of this, the lantern store is owned by one Grinka Krast, and I hate to say it, but she is no more intelligent than Mr. Raynor, as she will watch you steal her tinderbox and candle and then pull out her coin purse to pay you cash money for them back. I do commend her store selection though, however, she has a very nice variety of light sources for sale. Now, just across the street, we have the Anvil building. This building is completely empty except for 4 anvils in the middle of the room and some rubble on the side. A few quick observations here. 1, 4 anvils feels a bit excessive. I'm assuming some vampire juvenile probably pissed off a guard, and so he had him drag these all in here. It's really the only reason that 4 anvils should be in this tiny building. Observation number 2, this would be, in my opinion, an excellent place for a vampire drug deal. It's a scummy part of town. There's no guards or people lurking around. It's a little back alleyway to sneak out through. If you're looking for some, I don't know, blood cocaine or methamphetamines, then this is a great spot. I should cut that out. I know I won't because I'm annoying, but that was really awful. I should cut that out. The furnace is in this building, and when the door is closed, this room can get pretty fucking hot, so please remember to keep the door open when you're in here. And finally, the pottery room. It is nice to see that even in hell, the arts are still valued. Now with that, we can finally venture up the steps into the middle tier of Darkmeyer, Purgatory. As the name suggests, Purgatory is home to residents more respected than those of Hell, but not near as much as the high-ranking vampires in the upper tier. A sort of middle ground, if you will. Purgatory makes up the northern section of Darkmeyer, and it is here in Purgatory where we begin to have a variety of single-owner homes as well as family homes. So our single-owner homes, in no particular order, we have Valencia Von Pitt's house here. Ms. Von Pitt's has a pretty nice place, but it's right next to Hell, so the real estate, not too great. I want to point out here, vampires like her only stand one of 2 ways. They either, 1, stand with their left hand on their hip and their right hand out, almost like how a woman smoking a cigarette in the 50s would look. Or 2, they stand with their arms crossed. Now, I am not a body language doctor, but Google is. And Google says when you cross your arms, it signals that a person is either distant, insecure, defensive, or anxious. Well, as it so happens, right outside Valencia's home, we have ourselves an arm crosser by the name of Remus Canonus. So I think we put this to the test. Hello, Remus. All right, looks like I'm starting off with a very nice, clean hey there. Very neutral. I like it. Remus hitting me back with a little, just a just a noise that's very dismissive. It's like he's clearly already bothered by the initiation of this conversation. I'm gonna go and ask him, what are you doing? I think that's a completely fair question. He said nothing. He's not really giving me much conversation, so I'm gonna kind of maybe give him a little snippy reply with the sounds fun. And he gives me a very terse it is. I think this one's very clear. Remus, you, my friend, are defensive. Now, our second single-owner home belongs to a Miss Vanessa Varnis. Her coffin is closed, which I think is the equivalent of making your bed in the morning, so she clearly keeps a tidy home, I think. Maybe that's why she's so averse to visitors. Probably doesn't want filthy people like me tracking in any dirt or blood. Now, then we move on to the family homes, which I've ranked in order from worst to best. Starting with the Diamas family. Looks like only Vlad is home right now, but he shares this small little house with his wife Valentina and son Vampirus. I can only assume they share this one bed together, so that's fun. And would you look at that, he is yelling at me to leave his house. What a nice guy. Now this home here belongs to the Beckstein family. The Becksteins have I would say a nice place. Some pretty nice wings on their back as well, I must say. I suppose they share this coffin bed, and maybe you are as surprised as I am they didn't opt for maybe a queen or king size coffin bed, but perhaps they, I don't know, maybe they like the intimacy. Who am I to judge? It is a bit of a smaller place for two vampires to live in, and I gotta say there's probably some jealousy brewing here in little old purgatory, because right next door we have the Sanguine family in a very sizable home. And looky here, it seems I have walked in right at dinner time too. We have some chopped onion and sliced mushroom on the dining room table. I actually almost thought they could be vegan, but I do think that that's their blood tithe outside, so I'm gonna rule that one out. Either way, a very nice place here, and the green sheets on the bed are much nicer than the faded sheets we were seeing down in hell. If the Sanguines ever decided to pack their bags and move elsewhere, I swear they could put this house on the market and they would make a fortune. This is a sizable, well-located home. Now, if we go a bit north, we have another pretty sizable home, and this one is owned by the Rasputin family. It appears for dinner, they are having a single potato. I'm also wondering if living directly next to this corpse cart is a good or a bad thing. For me, that would be a bad thing. For them, maybe that's a good thing. I know for sure that the smell from that corpse cart probably fills this home at all times. You would definitely be tasting corpse as you ate your potato. But again, maybe they like that. Who am I to judge? Now, finally, we have the Drainer family, and by far the most pleasant couple you can come in contact with in Darkmeyer. These two are lovely. They are inviting pleasant conversation with me. They clearly have a dynamic chemistry between them, and their home is sizable without being gaudy. And after spending some time with these other families, it truly does sadden me to leave the Drainers. As for the other notable features of Purgatory, we have the entrance to Sepulcher here, which I'm gonna refrain from discussing, as I think this place deserves its own future video. So we make our way to a pretty nice prison, and I'm happy to see the prisoner agrees. I mean, these beds are bigger than the coffins of the people that live here. So, pretty nice place, honestly. We then have Lenya Karna's meat shop. Okay, the meat here is very reasonably priced, all at, I believe, 1 coin apiece, and it seems she is very well stocked on mystery meat. I'm not sure how long this rat meat has been sitting out, but other than the obvious health code violation, I'd say this is a pretty nice place. She has clearly monopolized the meat market in Purgatory, so I wouldn't be surprised to see her, put an offer in on the Sanguine's house sometime in the future. Continuing on in the southwest part of Purgatory, we have what appears to be a storage building, aka another great place for a drug deal. And then we make our way to the end of Purgatory with the final 2 establishments. The first being the seamstress, Varian Sobak's store, and she sells some very nice clothes. This is a very well-stocked, professionally run establishment here, but my God, Miss Sobak, where do you get your hair done? You look unbelievable tonight, if I can be so bold. And ladies and squirrels, that leads us to the final building in Purgatory, which deserves its own chapter. Welcome to Darkmeyer's only pub, the Crypt. The Crypt has a fully stocked bar. Looks like we have cocktails. What I'm going to safely assume is blood. We've got some bottles behind the bar. Some of them are hanging upside down? Question mark? And a storage area behind the bar that seems completely inaccessible. Either way, we also have in the corner of the bar a hat rack, which has to be the least used hat rack in RuneScape. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen a vampire wear a hat? Me neither. Now, the bartender here, Despoina, she obviously runs a pretty tight ship. Okay, we've got some lively locals, but they do all seem to be minding their manners quite well, so credit to her in that regard. And that really is the bar. Very nice bar here in Darkmeyer. Now, for me, the Crypt barely cracks the top 5 of best named pubs in old school RuneScape, which, if you know how much NPCs in RuneScape like to drink, then you know that that is quite the compliment. So I'd love if you left a comment of your favorite RuneScape pub name. I'm honestly very curious to get a consensus on this. And without further ado, here's the list that no one asked for. My top 5 power ranking of the best named pubs in old school RuneScape. Okay, I think I bought enough blood pints to last me the rest of this trip. It is finally time to make our way up the stairs to the final area of Darkmeyer, the upper tier, Vampire Heaven. Here in Heaven is where the vampire aristocracy resides, so it is here that you are going to find many of the high-ranking vampires as well as Firewatch Sentinels, who are the elite guards of this area. So what does a day in the life of a high-ranking vampire look like? I mean, how do these vampires live? Well, you actually might be surprised to find that they live just like you and I do. So picture this just for a moment, okay? In the morning, you awaken and you arise from your Tempur-Pedic coffin, you stretch your wings a bit and step out of your bedroom to grab some light reading from the study. Now for a moment you think about sitting down on the couch that you won at the Pee Wee Herman's Playhouse auction, but then you look through the window and wow, it looks to be a beautiful, cold, windy, overcast day outside, so of course you're gonna grab that book and head right upstairs to the terrace, where you start to read and enjoy your morning cup of blood, even occasionally looking over and admiring your garden of dead upright rosemary and gray flowers. But you can't read all day, can you? Because before too long, you know it's time to head out the door and really start your day. You stroll over to the gates of Castle Draken. Now, even though the selection can be a bit scarce on Sundays, you might as well see if there's any decent blood sacks for sale going on at the auction. So you start to look over the scarce options and almost think about making a bid on one, but you know that it's futile because guess what? Denise is at the auction and she is massively overpaying for everything. That's just classic Denise, isn't it? You roll your eyes and continue on. It is Sunday after all. So you head over to pay your respects at the altar. But on the way, you run into Alec Constantine, another arm crosser. And after a very brief and quick conversation with him, you can tell he is anxious. So it's to the altar to keep the Sabbath holy, then across the street, past whatever is happening here, to the bank to make a few deposits. And my God, look at the time, it's already getting late. So you quickly head north to spit in the faces of both prisoners, and finally make your way south, past the castle, and finally back home where you can't wait to feast on your blood tithes. But you are shocked to find that as you get back and look at your blood tithes, they are clearly too weak to be feasted on. What the blood fuck, you think to yourself. My werewolf is supposed to be taking care of these things. And as you're thinking this to yourself, you actually turn around and find your werewolf standing in the same room. You turn to him and say, "Hey, what the hell happened? These blood tithes are too weak." He replies to you and says, "I'm trying as best I can, sir." Well, try harder or I'll find a werewolf that will. And after you say this, he says nothing, but just stares at you. And you can tell he is submissive, yet you sense his longing to betray you. It's not as easy as it looks to be a high-ranking vampire, you think to yourself. But then you think back to something you actually read in the book when you were sitting on the terrace that morning. It was talking of the hunt and taste for blood, and it said, "I have found that the best way is to capture the prey, but then allow it to escape and feel safe again. If the animal does not feel threatened before death, instead feeling freedom, then the tinge of hopefulness within its blood retains a sweetness beyond measure." You think about this for a moment, and without noticing, you've completely lost yourself in thought, now just kind of aimlessly gazing at the blood tithes between you both. Your werewolf interrupts your thoughts. "I understand, sir," he says to you. Your eyes immediately dart back to meet his. "No," you say. "It is I who understands now. I'm sorry for snapping at you. Your work here is greatly appreciated, but your greatest contribution is being a part of this family. You are family to me, werewolf. I hope you know this. Then what's my name?" "What? If we are family, you should know what my name is." "I do know what your name is. I just don't feel like saying it right now." "No, you don't. You don't even know my name." "Yes, I do. Yes, I actually do. I do know your name." "Then what is it? Just say it." "I don't need to say it. I don't need to say it. I know what it is, and so I don't need to say it out. It's because you don't know. You're not going to say it." "No, I do know. I actually..." "No, you don't. You don't know my fucking name." So finally, after dragging your werewolf's body to the corpse cart, you are absolutely exhausted. You head back home. It's time to lie down in your coffin and close your eyes. A day in the life of a high-ranking vampire. Now let's talk about Frank. Okay, folks, no video about the city of Darkmeyer would be complete without discussing its most notorious inhabitant, Frank. Frank is a Bloodveld who walks around Darkmeyer. If you have not met Frank, I highly recommend it. He is very cute, and you can tell that he knows he's very cute too. When it comes to Frank, I really have two burning questions. One, who does he belong to? And two, what does he like to eat? So I started asking around. I talked to a few citizens here and there, and eventually I stumbled into a citizen named Natility Shadem, who did confirm that she is the owner of Frank. Question 1 answered, mystery solved. Now question 2, it's a little bit trickier. I picked 15 foods at pretty much random with a few Darkmeyer specialties in there, and I decided to offer these foods to Frank and see which ones he liked. So here we go. Starting things off with a raw chicken. That is a yes. And now a cooked chicken. Does he like cooked chicken? Yes, he does. Mud pie, and mud pie, no. Okay, raw bear meat. That's a yes as well. A blood pint. Does he like blood? He does. He likes blood pint. All right, raw beef. The Lumbridge special. That's a yes. Okay, raw beast meat. That's a no. Bloody bracer. That's a no. Toad crunchies. Wow, that's a no. Okay, regular beer. Oh my god, another no. Let's go raw rat meat. Yes. All right, what about a ukthunky kebab? That's a no. Raw yak meat. That's a no. All right, a hot bowl of stew. That's a no. And a raw mystery meat. That's a yes. Oh, that's a big yes. He seems to enjoy it quite a lot. Now, no visit to Frank would be complete without petting him, so let's give him a nice pet and head on our way. This now, ladies and squirrels, concludes our quasi-tour of Darkmeyer. Let's finish things up with the final chapter, City Superlatives. Hey, hello. All right, thank you so much for coming. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, we have a few awards to hand out today. Let's get right into it, folks. The first category is the hottest NPC in the city award. Oh, it's gonna be some tough competition this year, I will say that. Our nominees are Dresden Rainer from Hell with his tiny wing hands, Varian Sobek from Purgatory with her hot girl hair, and finally Frank from Darkmeyer. And the award goes to Frank from Darkmeyer. Our next category is the Hey That's Kinda Fucked Up award. It's gonna be some tight competition in this one as well. Our nominees are the Blood Tides, the Blood Auction, and the Corpse Carts. And the winner of the Hey That's Kinda Fucked Up award is the Blood Auction for being borderline human trafficking in a children's game. Wow, real tough competition in that category. Congratulations to the Blood Auction. Congratulations. And now our final category of the night, the one you've all been waiting for. This is the Why Didn't He Talk About This at All award. This is the award for the thing that I should have talked about but just didn't. And the nominees are Darkmeyer / vampire lore. I hardly went into any bit of the lore at all. What a shame. A strong nominee. Our second nominee is the Arboretum, containing the Blisterwood tree, an enormous part of Darkmeyer absolutely completely skipped. And our final nominee is the grandiose Castle Draken and its courtyard, inaccessible by players after the Sins of the Father quest, yet it makes up the majority of Darkmeyer and was hardly talked about at all. And the award goes to, oh my goodness, I can't believe it, the Arboretum and Blisterwood tree. Wow. Hey, in complete seriousness, I didn't touch this area at all because frankly, what's best about this place is the tone and just the mood that is set when you enter the room. I find it, I don't really know the right word for it, I guess just kind of special. There's a music track that you unlock when you come in here for the first time. It's especially dedicated for the Arboretum, and I feel like it really does hold up. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you like these videos and if you're new, and I will just send you out with the mood that is the Arboretum.